prosecutors say it is too early to talk about the death penalty for Chris Watts, though we learned today how he plans to avoid it, and it includes admitting that he killed his wife. Prosecutors charged Watts with first-degree murder, unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and tampering with dead bodies. Shanann, Bella, and Celeste Watts were reported missing from Frederick a week ago today. Jeremy Hohola from our 9 Watts Know team has been going through new court documents. Jeremy, they lay out Watts' potential defense strategy as well as what prosecutors think about it.
Yeah, this is totally unexpected in court documents today. He claims his wife killed the children, but the fact that he's facing 5 first-degree murder charges here make it clear that prosecutors just don't believe this guy. Let's talk about the crucial part of the affidavit here. Shanann arrived home around 2 a.m. last Monday. Chris Watts claims after she arrived, he told Shanann he wanted a separation. After that, he saw her strangle one of the kids on a baby monitor. In a rage, he claims he then killed her. That's his story. Going on to tell investigators he put the 2 girls' bodies in oil tanks and then buried their mother nearby. Now, what's also interesting here, investigators say they found after a 2-day investigation, Chris Watts was having an affair with a coworker. The affidavit says Watts denied this in previous interviews. The documents also say the bed in the master bedroom had been stripped of its bedding when police first arrived and walked around the house. Inside, they saw Shanann's purse on a kitchen island, along with a pair of women's shoes near the door. Now, parts of this affidavit are redacted right around the time investigators write and referenced they found that he was having an affair. So some interesting details in this, and I'm surprised that this was actually unsealed and released today because it's a high-profile case.
So that first word about motive, then, when we talk about the affair. So Watts' strategy here is essentially going to be, well, I may have lied to you investigators, and I definitely lied to the public, but I'm not lying about this now.
I think it's fair to say this guy has all sorts of credibility problems in the eyes of prosecution. The fact he's facing murder charges here, they don't believe him.
They don't believe him. All right, Jeremy, thank you. Now, a few of you at home have asked why Watts has a public defender. So we looked up the state's official policy on this, and it actually doesn't have to do with his financial situation. The short answer is that Watts was not allowed to post bail in this case. So the public defender's office has a window where they can elect to take his case, and they jumped in and took it. It's referred to as an automatic election of representation. For those in the business of believing, and the Friends of St. Andrew Soup Kitchen certainly believe, then saving that soup kitchen, as just happened, was divine intervention. An anonymous business person in Aurora stepped in to keep the soup kitchen running. We profiled the problem there last month. That soup kitchen operates out of a building that was left in a will to Regis University. It was supposed to be sold to support scholarships. The soup kitchen was preparing to be displaced when an anonymous donor stepped in to buy the building and to keep those meals flowing to people in need. If you're in the crowd who thinks that developers buy politicians the same way that they buy parcels of land in Denver, well, then you might be interested to hear that there is a plan to get big money out of Denver city elections. All it's going to take is your money instead. Here's our politics guy, Marshall Zellinger.
The same pot of money Denver uses to fix cracks in the road, pay police officers, and keep parks pretty could soon be used to help candidates run for public office.
It's a way to invest our public resources in something that hopefully people think is a public good.
Owen Perkins is one of the activists behind the proposal that will be on the November ballot in Denver. It stops businesses from being able to contribute to campaigns for offices like mayor and city council. And as long as the candidate doesn't get a contribution above a certain limit and they get enough contributions from individuals, the city will provide a match. For every $1 you give, the city will give the candidate $9. Give $2, the city provides $18. If you give a candidate $50 or more, the city will kick in $450.
This is money that's not being spent anywhere else that a group of citizens have identified as a great need.
The object of the petitioners is to get big money influence out of city politics.
Denver City Councilman Kevin Flynn is helping Perkins rework what voters will see in November to make it easier for the city to implement if it passes. But Denver resident Kevin Flynn does not agree with the proposal that will create a new $8 million taxpayer-filled fund that candidates could access.
That $8 million I could use right out here to repave Dartmouth Avenue, right? I could use it to hire a few more police officers. There's a lot of needs around the city. Parks maintenance, police, fire, library, you name it.
There are adequate, really substantial reserves available in the Denver general fund budget to cover this kind of thing.
For Next, I'm Marshall Zellinger.
If voters pass this in November, it will not go into place for the next year's city elections in 2020. So it's whoever's running for mayor in 2023 that could be first eligible for that $750,000 in taxpayer money. And for what it's worth, the city's trying to figure out a way that it might get back any unspent campaign funds. A court ruling out today could rock the reasoning that is often offered by Colorado's sanctuary cities, places like Denver, that say that they don't detain people wanted for deportation because they can't. A new court ruling says that has not been decided. We are learning this because of a lawsuit against a county that is anything but a sanctuary city. What's the opposite? We'll call Teller a cooperation county. There is the only sheriff in Colorado known to be holding people for ICE agents these days. The ACLU sued to stop him, and now a judge has said that Teller County can keep assisting immigration until this case is decided. So we'll be watching to see if other conservative county sheriffs start doing things the way that Teller County's been doing. El Paso tried and lost in court. This new ruling could embolden sheriffs who want their hands freed to help ICE. And the final ruling in the case might determine whether sanctuary cities like Denver can keep claiming that they're not allowed to hold people for deportation. If you have money to burn, before long you will be able to use a pile of that cash essentially as rocket fuel on a short tourist trip to space. Those expensive right up and right down flights may begin and end in our backyard in Adams County. The county just landed only the 11th license in America for a spaceport. It'll be what is now the Front Range Airport in Watkins. The planes will take off and land basically as planes do now, but with a rocket-boosted phase in the middle that takes them up into suborbital flight. A slew of political leaders lined up in front of TV cameras this morning to celebrate the spaceport.
If we ever had a joint success, this is it, across the state, not just Adams County. This is more impactful than Adams County. This is our entire state coming together and saying, we are one, and we will do it together.
Well, maybe not the entire state. The launch zone, headed east, is a really sparsely populated area on the plains, 50 miles by 100 miles. You'll find a couple of small towns, tons of agricultural land. And out there, the concerns about whether their crop dusting planes and Flight for Life helicopters would be restricted during these weekly spaceport launches. Former State Senator Greg Brophy of Ray says that neighbors out there want to have a face-to-face meeting, a town hall with the spaceflight companies that now need to come forward for further approval before they can do any flights. When I talked to Brophy today, even he admitted, though, it would be hard to find a spot with fewer people.
I can see if you live in the Denver area, you can say that. If you happen to live on the Highway 36 corridor somewhere around Last Chance or Joe's or Idalia, you may not think so.
So I recall conversations that you and I had a couple of years back about the divide between rural and urban Colorado. And it seems like those passions are not as inflamed as they were a few years ago when there was secession talk and everything else. But is this the same issue at play here?
There's definitely that component. The people that happen to live out there, like my friend Mike or my cousin Dina, they look at this and they say, okay, we get it. There's not many of us out here, but there's some of us out here, and we count too. And they don't feel like the people on the Front Range believe that they count.
The key takeaway with all the hubbub and discussion about this today is these flights are not taking off tomorrow. They're not taking off next year either. For the time being, it's standard operations at the Front Range Airport in Watkins. Those spaceport flights are years into the future. The post office needs you, or really anybody at this point. They have 1,000 job openings along the Front Range and post offices from Denver to Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. For some reference, 1,000 open jobs, 11,000 filled positions right now. So they're missing about 8% of their workforce. The USPS told us today that the staffing situation has never been so bad here. They're sending out flyers like this, 500,000 of them begging for job applicants. They attribute the shortage to an increased volume of mail and a shrinking labor force. In fact, Denver's postmaster even spent part of her weekend out handing out sandwiches to people on the 16th Street Mall, trying to strike up conversations and recruit them to come work for her. Until they fill the jobs that are open, the post office is having people work longer shifts and they're paying overtime. Out of those 1,000 available jobs, only 100 of them are for holiday work. So there's 900 or so jobs that could be longer term positions. So that could mean health and retirement benefits. Time flies when you're having a young person leave your home for school. Few words on the subject from my favorite writer on television. Lucky us, Chris Vanderveen works down the hall. And a 100-meter race from a man racing toward 100. That's next. Tens of thousands of kids in Denver learned the hard way today that summer is not eternal. School's back in session in Denver and elsewhere today. And while it is so often described as a day marked by kids' chagrin and parents' grins, our Chris Vanderveen has some personal thoughts on the feelings of so many moms and dads.
First days, butterflies. Your first day of kindergarten came a few years ago. You were excited then, and nervous. I was too. And then off you went. Off to a new place with new people, new faces, challenges, fears, unknowns. Somehow you did it. Faced all of it. Faced it in a way I'm not sure I could have. Bravery, signs of independence. Since then, more first days. Time moves in ways parents struggle to fathom. Before this, before you, I remember plenty of days that felt like years. Now it's the other way around. Looking back, these years now feel like days. Confidence. You showed it even as another first day came upon you. More butterflies for sure. For you. For me. Third grade is the first grade I still remember well. I wonder, will you remember this day, these pictures? Your dad taking far too many of them. Some okay, some not. Sorry. We measure time in what I feel is an imprecise way. We measure it in increments, measurements that always seem to fail when I see you. I always tell you, you're growing up far too quickly. You are. I see it now. So today I'll pause, if only for a moment. I'll feel those butterflies all over again. And I'll wonder what it might take to stop time, if only for a moment. Because these days, these first days, come and go at a pace I never could have imagined before my first day with you.
Beautiful. And today probably would have been beautiful, minus the smoke and the haze. Comfortable temperatures, threat of severe weather low, fall-like readings in the 70s. But there is a change coming. We've got a storm already moving into northwestern Colorado that may mix out the particulates, the smoke and the haze, which has been plaguing much of the western U.S. You think we have it bad here. Northern California, British Columbia, all the way up into Canada. It's oppressive. It's dangerous. Our smoke here is thick and it's heavy. But again, there's a chance for rain tomorrow and cooler weather with a weather system already bringing showers to northwestern Colorado. Tonight will be fair, quiet, calm, smoke and haze persisting, but up in the high country, beneficial rain coming in, hopefully without the threat of thunder and lightning. Might wake up to some cloud cover tomorrow and a few sprinkles, and then afternoon showers and storms will linger into the evening, but not this evening. Quiet and calm, bad air, 53 degrees. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny, temperatures in the mid-70s, off and on showers and storms. A few on Wednesday, a little drier, and then a warming trend. Upper 80s Thursday and low 90s heading into next weekend, in case you're missing that warm summer weather.
He's a track champion, not a former track champion. Present tense, respect your elders.
I want to keep doing this till I'm 100.
And crossing a line, courtesy of the one brand of vehicle that seems allergic to parking like the rest of us. That's next. The most Colorado thing we saw today is a mountain to climb, which is just in search of a place to be put. A climbing wall being hauled up I-25. Zach Clemens spotted it going north in Longmont, destination unknown. He sent us the mountain on the move using the hashtag #HeyNext. Ron Gray is a man of routine. He has woken up married to the same woman for 62 years now. That's a routine we're celebrating. And so is Ron's other daily habit. Our Byron Reed has his story.
Just warm up. Getting into a pattern is nothing new for Ron Gray. I work out almost every day.
He's been doing it for most of his life.
Well, I started running early as a young child in grammar school. In college, I went to CU. I was a sprinter there in the early 50s for 4 years.
And Gray is still running today.
I'm 85.
At an age that has some people scratching their heads.
Well, that's their problem. I know what I'm doing.
That's perfect. Nice job.
I love the competition, and I love the fact that it keeps me in shape. It keeps me healthy. First place in the 100 meters.
He's the current USA Track and Field National Masters champion in his age division.
Right now, I'm in the 85 to 89.
Running the 100-meter dash. And next month, he'll represent Team USA at the World Master Athletics competition in Spain.
This is a big meet. There'll be 8,500 participants in 92 countries.
Where he'll be competing against some of the best in the world.
My best time this year was 18.63 seconds. That sounds like a lot of seconds, but don't forget I'm 85 years old. So
I mean, it's really pushing the boundaries of what's possible. So it's really I'm developing as a trainer by working with him.
Gray's been training almost every day.
I think that's important to have a routine.
Trying to reach a new milestone regardless of his age.
I know my race, I know my competition, and I get out there and I run it.
For next,
I want to keep doing this till I'm 100.
I'm Byron Reed.
Ron's going to smoke those fools. He's going to leave for Spain over Labor Day weekend, representing his age group in the 100 and 200 meter dash. I think you could argue that this next example is not actually somebody in Colorado who should be told you've crossed a line, because I'm fairly certain each new Jeep comes with a parking pass that exempts the driver from parking like the rest of us. Suppose this driver told his or her friends that they went off-roading over the weekend. What'd you do? Hey, we went off-roading in the Jeep. Daniel Fay spotted this creative parking job at Illegal Pete's on South Broadway. When you see somebody cross a line in a not-so-subtle way, let the rest of us enjoy it. Share with the class. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag HeyNext. We have a beautiful moment of Zen for you. Just center yourself up on the TV and let it wash over you. And the opposite of Zen, your feedback. Also next. You remember when we had some sunflower farmers on Next begging you not to go traipsing through their fields in search of that stunning selfie? And you're thinking, well, how am I supposed to fill my cup with Colorado's beautiful sunflower fields? Well, I give you the 9 News drone and this Monday's moment of Zen. This state is hot. It's a sign spotted by Next viewer Ingrid Moore. It says one way, but it sure looks like somebody had been coming from the other way. Ingrid saw this in the driveway at the First Evangelical Lutheran Church in Longmont, where I suppose they specialize in forgiveness. So it's all good. Email us the signs that make you look twice, next@9news.com, or use the hashtag HeyNext. So much feedback tonight. Question from Ed, who says, do we have the death penalty here in Colorado? I was thinking that we did not. We do have the death penalty, Ed. We just have a governor who is personally opposed to it and will not see somebody executed on his watch. A new governor might make a different decision. Tiffany Buskirk writes in about those 1,000 open postal jobs. She says, worked as a letter carrier. It's been a wonderful career, celebrating 15 years on Thursday. Congratulations on that milestone, Tiffany. And V.Ann Sattler writes in about Chris Vanderveen's beautiful essay on his daughter's first day of school. Chris, hang on for dear life. See you next time.